welcome back to this installment of the SPARX video series, STEM Professionals Amplifying Resilience and Excellence. I am joined today with Kirsten Springer. Hello, Kirsten. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Yes. Would you like to start by just telling me about your job? What are you doing?
So I work at Mojang Studios on Minecraft. I work on the Realms team, which is our in-house hosted multiplayer servers. I do a lot of front-end development, but a little bit of full-stack development. So any sort of client and experience that players would interact with directly, that's the kind of stuff I work on. So a lot of UI work, or just making sure that different flows work properly, anything with the player experience.
Amazing. Could you describe how you got to this, how you got here?
Yeah, it was an interesting road to get there. So I actually did first robotics myself in high school. I was on team 5549, Go Griffin Robotics. And that's kind of where some of my interest in doing anything STEM related started. I was into video games long before that, but I never even considered it as a career path prior to like getting into doing programming and things of that nature. I remember playing Minecraft as far back as like the era where it was called cave games still.
Oh, wow.
And so it's still kind of insane that I ended up where I did. So as I mentioned, I was in robotics. I was both on our programming and graphics teams at the time. And then that's what inspired me to then go into college double majoring CS and game dev. And my parents were like, game dev's not a real profession. So they're like, you're double majoring. And I'm like, yes, I am. So I went to the University of Utah, where I double majored in then CS and game dev. And during my time there, I got a chance to both work on a bunch of different indie games, as well as I got my first internship working at Microsoft on Excel, which, woo, Excel, not as exciting, but still was really great experience. And then after working on Excel, and then I mentioned the indie games I got to work on, there was a game called Wretched Depths, which is a horror fishing game.
Oh.
And we actually managed to win an award for through GDWC, Game Developer World Championships, for the best hobbyist game in that year for summer 2023. And that was incredibly exciting. It was really kind of my first actual taste of the games industry, both its pros and cons. But I really enjoyed it. I then managed to get an internship over at Mojang. My first internship there was working on the Minecraft Education Edition, which was really exciting. It felt a little bit full circle because when I was on robotics, I was doing a lot of our outreach and teaching and stuff for kids, and then getting to work on the Education Edition of Minecraft kind of felt a little bit full circle for me, which was awesome. I was lucky enough to get a full-time return offer at the end of college, and then I started working on Minecraft Realms when I returned, and that was really exciting.
So, Kirsten, on your path to Mojang, how did you prioritize opportunities?
Yeah, so when especially I was looking into colleges and stuff, I did a lot of research into different scholarships and things of that nature. My parents were very people who pushed me to do as well in my classes as they could, so I did get lucky enough to get a few different scholarships to different colleges. And when I saw the University of Utah had both a CS major and a games major, I was like, I'm going to take the opportunity to have that double major, because there's some other colleges I looked at solely for CS, and great, but I wanted to have something else on top of just standard programming classes. From there, I got really lucky with my first internship. I didn't really prioritize internships my freshman year originally. I didn't know that freshman college could get internships. So I just got really lucky that I had built out like a website and a LinkedIn page and stuff already with my experiences both doing freelance graphic design, robotics, and other things. And I had a recruiter reach out to me being like, hey, I've seen XYZ work you've done. I would like you to apply for this internship. And I was like, it's not gonna happen clearly, but I'll go ahead and apply anyway, why not? And it did end up panning out after very stressful rounds of interviewing. After I started applying for that internship, I kind of became a no-life and just started grinding to be like, okay, what do I need to know for these interviews, yada, 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 for like months. And it was kind of awful, but it worked out, I guess. But I would say don't go overboard and don't burn yourself out that much. You don't need to. But yeah, definitely that kind of an opportunity, even like the beginning of college, even before college, trying to make those connections and look for those internships or other opportunities, I would say is a great idea to do. I should have prioritized that more, and I got lucky getting what I did.
Amazing. Okay, so you have this incredible opportunity in front of you. What are some of the skills that maybe you learned from robotics or you learned along the way that really help you in your day-to-day with your job?
Yeah, so doing a lot of UI design, I'm able to pull, or not really design, but implementation, I'm able to pull from both my graphic design knowledge as well as programming. All of our front end, or most of it at this point, is done in a language called React, which is built off JavaScript. So a lot of kind of just the fundamentals of programming I learned during my time in robotics, and like my high school and college programming classes are used every day. And then having that knowledge as well in like graphics and how to design things, I'm able to kind of take a look at what our design team has sent me. And I'm like, okay, is that something I can program? If not, what can I propose to them that would be similar or another option that we could do instead? And that has actually come in handy several times where they've assigned me a task and like, ooh, okay, with XYZ that we have currently in our React framework, that's not possible. And I'm able to mock up something quickly in Figma and send it back to them. I'm like, hey, I can do this instead successfully. Would you like this until we're able to update our React frameworks? And they're like, oh, okay, let's talk about a team and get back to you in like a week. So it's been helpful having kind of both those skill sets. And then something else that I don't think is often thought about is when I was in robotics, I learned how to advocate for my robotics team as well as myself, and just learned how to talk to people. So having that skill set really made me be able to market and advertise and advocate for myself to the people I needed to get where I wanted to go. I mentioned that I interned on Excel prior to joining Mojang, and I happened to get connected with the right people at the right time to then be like, hey, this is why you should consider hiring me. And being able to pitch that to them successfully is, I feel like, a solid reason of why I am where I am today.
I see. It's giving judges presentations.
Few of those.
Yeah. Oh my, I love that so much. We actually were talking with one of our other panelists about just the use of communication and how important it is. And I think it's sometimes one of the more overlooked aspects of robotics, for example, or even just like the professional workplace. Mm-hmm. People think you have to be really specialized in one thing in order to succeed. But I mean, I guess you're living proof to having skills in multiple areas really, really helps.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I feel like having, one thing one of my professors said is be like a T-shaped person. Have one thing you're like pretty good at and then have skills in everything else as well. So that way it's kind of like a T-shape. You have a specialty, but you know what's going on around you. So that way you know how to communicate with other teams. So it's not only like a outside of team communication, it's a within company or within teams communication, because with Mojang in particular, we have offices in Redmond and in Stockholm. And so we're having to talk to people in Stockholm pretty frequently, and knowing kind of how to interact with them, knowing what they are working on a day-to-day basis. I can be like, hey, I know you have XYZ, can we get ABC? Or something like that. And just, yeah, not just external communication, but internal communications are very important for keeping teams aligned and happy with each other.
Yeah, we do that a lot on our team as well. We have our outreach team and our awards and graphic design that's presenting our team to the outside world. But like our leadership has actually really been working on this over the past couple of years of really honing in team communication, making sure everyone's on the same page, and like what do we do with suggestions or new ideas. So that's really cool.
Very important.
Yes, oh my goodness. Okay, my next question for you is, what is one of your favorite parts about your job?
As I mentioned previously, I've been into video games since my parents allowed me to have hands on my first DS Lite. So like Pokemon and Minecraft and stuff were a huge part of my life growing up. So it's kind of crazy to now be working on one of those games. If I could like talk to like 12-year-old me and be like, hey, you're working on Minecraft, I think she would have a heart attack. So that is one of the things I love. We get a lot of fan mail from kids who play the game across the world, and I usually sit down with the people where we like will respond or like read them and stuff like that. It is adorable. Getting to give back that experience to kids that I had growing up, I feel is one of my favorite things about my job, for sure.
I love that. And speaking more, since this is a Women in STEM video series, what is one of your favorite parts about being a woman in a STEM profession?
Both of my parents were engineers, and so hearing a lot about my mom's experience as an engineer compared to what I'm experiencing now is kind of jarring. She was the only like woman in her company for years. And now that you know, there are more women entering STEM fields and things like that, we have a growing community. And once a month, the women of Mojang or women of Minecraft will get together to have lunch. And I have met so many amazing people through that who I am really close friends with now. And not only even like within Mojang, but in college and other places, getting to meet just a good, wonderful group of other women who are into the same things I'm into, I think is amazing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we've, as a team, have really been working on making sure our, especially new members, feel seen in our leadership roles. And I think it's just so wonderful to be able to support each other like that and to find the community of, like you said, like-minded people. We all have such different experiences that you just get so many cool perspectives and so many inspiring people too. It's one of my favorite things about this video series is just meeting new people and you're like, wow, I could do that.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
As a robotics kid,
yeah.
Would you mind just maybe taking a trip down memory lane? And what was one of your favorite robotics memories, if you can think of one? I mean, you mentioned.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things we got to do that I really still hold like near and dear to my heart. One of them actually was we got to take part in First Global, which was, or still is, a yearly competition with people from all over the globe. Since the first ever one was held in DC, and we're like right there in DC, we got to do a lot of volunteer work and assistance with that. And one of the things that we actually ended up volunteering to do was there was a team that was not able to receive the kit of parts due to different shipping restrictions that team was based in Iran. So we were able to communicate with this team, and they were such cool people. We got to help, they designed their robot over there, and we were able to receive the kit of parts and build the robot for them here in the US so that they could come and actually compete. And truly that competition, I still think about it all the time, seeing that people across the world like truly being able to interact, come together, and like work together was incredible, because I feel like year after year things get so much more divisive and so much more just them, you versus them, and it's just, so seeing that it is like possible for these kids across the world to like make friends and work together just to build some cool robots and play a game was insane. Yeah, I still keep in contact with especially the mentor from that team, and I'm so thankful that we got to help them come here and compete.
That is absolutely amazing. I had the privilege of going to Worlds last year. It was my first time, and just seeing all the people who are there with the same goal of build cool robots was so much fun. I made friends with people in England and Brazil and Canada, and it was awesome. It was just so much fun. And yeah, I still think about them too. So I love, it's like kind of just a moment of unity and seeing everyone. Oh my goodness, my favorite part was when they announced a new game and it was like 50,000 people just cheering water game. And I was like, wait, so we're all here for the same reason. It was so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is an opportunity that you would recommend for students with similar interest as you, maybe trying to go into similar fields?
Well, again, First Robotics. Not to pander, but genuinely. First Robotics made a huge impact on, you know, where I went, what I did for college and now what I'm doing now. But even like in college, getting to know other people across different majors, as well as getting to know a lot of people within your major, make those connections while you can. And even like people I know in high school, I'm still really well connected with, and they're in other places across the industry. I've got friends like working at Obsidian and other game studios, for example. So don't pass up the opportunity to meet new people and attend events. Like I mentioned, the indie games I got to work on in college, some of them were like class mandated, like you have to work on this project, and some of them were just, hey, we have a group of people here who all want to make a game, let's try to make something. Yeah, because even doing stuff like that helps build like a portfolio, which a lot of companies are like, hey, I see you've done XYZ in class, what have you done outside of class? And that can really kind of give you like a leg up in terms of, yeah, I know the theory and I know the rules in a classroom, but I also know how to apply those rules to something in my industry that I'm trying to go into. So that's kind of my big thing there, especially games industry, have a portfolio. Please have a portfolio.
Okay. And then one of our last questions for today is, what advice would you give to your younger self if you had to start over?
I still, especially even back then, but still now, suffer from a lot of imposter syndrome. And because of that, I tend to kind of look back on the things I did as, oh, I got lucky. oh, this shouldn't happen to me, I don't deserve XYZ. No, I need to remind myself still frequently that I've put in the work to get in to where I am today, and that I shouldn't doubt myself or not take a chance on myself because I don't think that I deserve it for whatever reasons. And I feel like if I had even had that mindset more back then, I was still at like the greatest point I could be right now, frankly, but it would have been a lot easier to get there. I feel like I spend a lot of my time worrying or anxious, being like, hey, what if something happens and like people find out that I don't belong here or whatever, and that's insane. And really, don't wear yourself down so much with that. Don't burn yourself out trying to be even like crazier and better and doing all these things, because if you burn yourself out, you're not going to get where you want to go.
Thank you so much. That, oh my goodness, I relate to that so much. And I don't know, sometimes it's really interesting being on a robotics team but not doing the robots.
Fair.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And I guess for the people watching, like, you can be an amazing person and be super skilled and still struggle with that. So if anything, you should know that your skills show to other people.
Yeah, give yourself more credit.
Exactly, give yourself more credit. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today,
happy
Kirsten.
to be here.
And thank you all for watching. We will see you next time.